happen. But looks like things are happening. Let me turn on our... Boom. There we go. Look at us. Look at us sexy things.
To be honest, am I on the screen as well?
Yes, yes, you are. And I forgot to turn your microphone on. So I was talking to myself all that time.
Well, you know, you're the only one who says interesting. So something I am going to do that is interesting to me at least. So
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Smart Arts. This is your hosts here, Stephen and Alex, and yes, this is our third show, I believe.
This is our third show, Stephen. We have
this
is our third show. Which means, you know what that means? It means we're consistent. It means we're a thing now.
Yeah.
It means we're actually a thing. So I think the rules are we need to get a title screen and a logo and put this on YouTube by the end of next week.
You know, I always wanted to be a thing.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that my dreams are coming true. The point of the show, of course, is that Alex and I talk about, well, whatever interests us, really, but it's typically arts related. Sometimes it's,
yeah, we usually talk arts related. Most of the time we don't, and we get distracted by things.
I never get distracted. Now that I'm a thing.
Yeah. Look, now that you're a thing, we have thing responsibilities. Okay, we can't get things cannot get distracted.
First thing I'd like to talk about this evening is I have a different beer to.
Oh, right. I see. You've got classy beer tonight.
Classy beer. I have classy beer because it was
a classy beer that proves that you're an adult by having a beer with big flashing comic book style titles on it. It's called Bing Bong.
It's called Bling Bling.
By right, Bing Bing.
Brewers, brewed in Beechworth, Victoria.
Ooh, that's where all the best beers come from.
Yes, except for the ones that don't, of course. But let's see what it's like, shall we?
I'd like, man, I should do you should try a different beer every week. I have the same coffee every week, so.
Okay, well, for those who are following, this is actually a bit hoppy, I suppose, as you'd expect from an IPA. It tastes like an IPA.
Get rid of your goddamn hippie, no, not hippie, hipster IPAs. You and your craft beers.
Maybe I don't really have the palate to comment on this.
No, that makes you exactly the sort of person to comment on this.
It tastes like an IPA. They all taste kind of the same. I mean, let's be honest about this, shall we?
If you've ever seen this show called Brad Tries, he gets sent all this bizarre stuff, and it's usually sponsored energy drinks, and he tends to just drink it and goes, that tastes like an energy drink. And that would be my response as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I have. Well, let's leap off into controversial opinion territory, shall we?
Oh, yes.
I want to tell you my controversial opinion about beer.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought we were. Hang on, let me just get the other controversial thing all ready to go.
Oh yeah, there's lots of
before we do that, what's your controversial contribution into beer?
Okay.
Hang on, I know. I'll get a picture of a beer for you. I can get a good picture. Oh, there we are. Boom. Beer.
There we go. All
And
right.
what's your controversial? What's your statement again? What do you have against beer?
I don't have anything against beer. I quite like beer. My controversial statement is that, generally speaking, well, most beers are beer flavored. That might sound like it's not controversial, but it is, because we drink these beers and we go, ooh, it's got a lovely, sort of hoppy sort of edge. Oh, unlike this one, which has sort of got, peppery overtones, or you can tell that that the hops in this one were, perhaps a slightly different shade of orange, and this one was, peed on by the dog. And in my opinion, a lot of the differences, when they come down to it, are irrelevant. Yes, there are obviously differences between a stout and other things, but I think the differences between beer is a bit like the differences between chicken sandwiches.
Yes, you can make
You know,
very nice chicken sandwiches, and you can make really bad
yeah,
chicken sandwiches. But in the end, they taste like chicken sandwiches.
this chicken sandwich. Ooh, yes. I really like the way that the tomato in this one merges better with the bread. It's, at the end of the day, there's a spectrum, and that's sort of it. And
Do you
I
have? Do you? Are you? When was the last time you had an ale? Then,
a straight ale,
yeah,
as
because
opposed.
I think IPAs are all lagers, right?
I couldn't. I don't think so. I
Ah,
think a lager is with beer. There's an Indian pale ale, and then there's a pale ale. So this is apparently an Indian pale ale, but to me it tastes. I thought that IPAs and pale ales were different, and I thought that pale ales were generally stronger in taste.
and what does IPA stand for again? Just independent.
Yeah. No, India,
Oh,
Indian
oh,
pale.
Indian Pale. Ah, sorry, I thought it represented some sort of independent bullshit.
No.
Right. Okay. Now I'm au fait with all the jingo now.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Well, the thing, I suppose, I used to be a big, I guess what you'd call a beer wanker. And then one day I did I may have mentioned this to you before. I did a blind beer test, and my favorite beer came up by far as 4X, which is considered the least. What's the English equivalent to that?
Foster's. I
Ah,
I kid you
right.
not. If you want,
That's
if
hilarious.
you if yeah Foster's is the English equivalent of the cheap bullshit thing. So yeah, absolutely. If you want the English owned version of the English thing, that would be Carling. Not that it
Right.
matters, but
The point is that I really liked it. Now
yeah,
and again, I go to places and I order 4X, and everyone looks at me like I'm insane, or that I have no taste. But you know what? I've saved a lot of money since I realized that the difference in taste between 4X and some of the fancier lagers actually not that much.
that's a good. You are a wise man. You're a wise man, and you will teach your little one many great things because of that, and I approve.
Hopefully, hopefully about many things other than beer as well. But
I
beer.
I'm a big wine drinker, and I
Ah,
always
yes,
go
that's true.
for the Cabernet Sauvignon, but I go for the
Ah,
cheapest Cabernet Sauvignon. I know my
why is
tastes
this?
and I know my limits, so I immediately go for the cheap, which is usually about £4.50. Roughly translated, that means really cheap
That's
to, to,
very cheap,
to
isn't it?
anyone.
Very, very cheap. We have people saying hello to us, by the way. We should say
Yes, we
hi.
do. We have new people. These are not my regulars. These are not my
Ah,
regulars. So we are attracting
no,
people,
no
Stephen,
regulars.
by our talk of beer.
Well, that's what beer is for, I do believe.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Beer is to bring. Well, yeah, exactly. Beer brings people together, right? Beer brings people together, and it makes
Sometimes
people
to fight,
happy.
sometimes to do other things.
Let's fall
Yeah.
directly into hell, shall we?
With what? What is it you
Uh,
wish to discuss, Mr. D?
Now, this particular subject I've been avoiding for a long time. It's the Geoffrey Rush thing.
Geoffrey Rush. Geoffrey
Yes,
Rush.
yes. And I want you to. Last week it was a lot of me, so now I want this to be a lot of you, and you've clearly known about this for a while.
Yes, there
So
we
tell
go.
me
Well,
about what's going on here. There's a good picture to start on. So Geoffrey Rush has been in trouble now, as far as what I know, and I want you to fill in the details with Putty Phil. He was on stage doing King Lear. King Lear, by the way, good play. He was on stage being with King Lear and his co-actors.
yes. Yeah.
One being this female, and she accused Geoffrey Rush of sexual innuendos and groping. Did I get
Yes.
that
That's
right? Or
that's
is
that's
it
basically,
worse? Is it not so good, bad? What's going on?
no, that's basically correct.
Okay.
What for Geoffrey Rush? Is he as big outside Australia as he is in Australia? I mean, in
I
Australia, everyone.
I haven't done a survey. I
Yeah.
haven't done a or anything like that. I'm assuming yes,
Okay.
because one of my favorite art critics, she talked about how Geoffrey Rush was so Geoffrey Rushable in the movie. So I thought, all right,
There you
cool.
go. Well, he's a I think he's won an Oscar. He's really big deal in Australia. One
He's
of our
big.
most. Yeah, he's big.
He's
Possibly
Captain
most
Barbossa.
famous for. Yeah, he's most famous as Captain Barbossa in the Pirates films. But hey,
He's done
um,
better things.
he has done better things. But he was accused. Well, actually, this is the way it panned out. He's been in the papers a lot lately for allegations of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Now, the way it panned out is a little different. It's not your usual, like Weinstein stuff where people have been accusing him of sexual harassment and he's been dragged to the courts. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
Louis C.K. That's a big thing. You don't
Yeah.
whip your knob out and start masturbating in front of women. If you
Wow.
consider whipping your knob out and starting masturbating towards women, Stephen and Alex say no.
That's right. No, 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 no. And Skep Talk Live, no, it's not Yale Stone. I'm pretty sure it's EJ. EJ is the initials. I know that because well, I mean, heck, Google can confirm that for you. I think you're referring to there's been a second allegation, but let's talk about
Okay.
yeah. So the reason he's actually in the courts is he what happened was he was in King Lear. One of the young actresses who was playing Goneril, who was King Lear's daughter, told one of the senior I don't remember if it was a producer or a director involved with the show, and made an informal complaint about Geoffrey Rush.
Informal.
Informal. Yep,
Yeah.
that's right. In an informal setting, didn't want anything to happen.
Right.
Well, Geoffrey Rush is, a massive star. So making a formal complaint would be a very big deal. But she made an informal complaint. Now, what happened is that the that member of the directing or producing staff then met with a journalist who said Geoffrey Rush has been sexually harassing the young actresses in King Lear.
Oh dear.
And
How?
then
Yeah. I was going to say how did the journalist get a hold of it? But that's not relevant.
well, no, it kind of is relevant because, and you can see in the image you've got there,
That's
one
it. That
front page
Yeah,
headlined
I
King.
shouldn't have shown that image. That's his wife, everyone. That's his wife. That's not the person who's accusing him or anything. He's
Now, you see, the reason it's a bit weird is that you see from Geoffrey Rush's perspective, once the headline hit, and of course, in the current context, he lost a lot of work.
sure.
Yeah, he lost a lot of work. He mostly does theatre now, and he lost a lot of work in Australia, and certainly a lot of profile. But the thing is that, of course, the newspaper article doesn't really go into what the allegations are. Certainly doesn't
Right.
say,
Yeah.
and there's
That's
no
that's the thing about sexual harassment. There is a spectrum,
hmm,
you know.
there's no. Well, the thing is that there was no forum for him to really contest it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
what he,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you.
yeah, what he did is he sued the newspaper for defamation,
Oh, yes. See, when you
which
that's
I think
bad.
anyone
Don't do that. That's
that's
stupid.
bad.
That's
Don't do
really
that. Yeah,
stupid.
that's bad. That's the Oscar Wilde mistake. You know, like
Oh man.
yeah, yeah,
If
it
you
comes
want
out well.
things to go away, don't sue them.
Yeah, the thing is, ironically, if he hadn't done that, it would be dead, and Yale Stone, you see, wouldn't have made the um the subsequent complaint. But he sued them for defamation, and the newspaper replied, "Well, because it's a defense." They said, "No, everything we said is true," and they identified who made the complaint
Oh
uh,
no, here we go. Yeah, and the
and forced
snowball
her to give
occurred.
evidence.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
So, to be fair, so she
So this
never.
this informal complaint, it's
Hmm,
this basically what it boils down to, because she was asked to talk about these things. This is not a formal complaint. She was asked, "Hey, what's going on here?"
I
And
think it was like even in a pub or something. She told them about it, but next she didn't want this.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
next she's in one of the highest profile cases in the land at them and a central witness. And it was in this context that you can imagine basically the Australian theatre community appears to have sort of come out and really taken one side or another in it. Um, Geoffrey Rush is not accused of Weinstein-like behaviour. He's accused of it's. I think the groping is there was one scene where he picked Goneril up in his arms, and she
yes,
accused
that's
him
right.
of grabbing her, which is obviously, if that happened, completely inappropriate. But it's not Weinstein. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
that sort.
yeah. It's
And
basically what should have happened is what she did. She went to the side and made a informal complaint saying, "Hey, you might have. I think you touched me inappropriately there. I don't know if it was purposeful or not, but hey, Jeff, watch it. All right, don't be a dickhead." And
yeah,
Jeffrey, I
or of
think
course,
there's a very good chance that Jeffrey would have said, "Oh, no, sorry, mate. I didn't mean to." Oh, yeah, or however Jeffrey
yeah.
Rush sounds these days. I've forgotten.
I don't know. Well, I mean, she did. I guess she didn't want action taken, and I can understand that. But
Yeah, presumably, if she didn't want action taken, she would have gone directly to Rush and said,
yeah, but what? Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
that
What
to me is an informal complaint."
what has happened to her is probably the worst of all worlds. In that the behaviour wasn't addressed. No matter what the behaviour was, it wasn't addressed during the run,
Yeah,
and she's still being dragged through all of this, but for no apparent benefit.
yeah,
So the villain in the piece, I think, is really the person who leaked it to the press.
sure,
And
sure, sure, sure. Because
and
these sorts of things, are really hot right now for good reason,
well,
for good reason.
for good
And
reason. The thing is, yeah.
but yeah,
So, but it's interesting in that there's obviously this is very topical. It's all very topical right now. But um, it's interesting, though, I guess, to see how these sorts of things can spin off and have unintended consequences. Or I suppose the situation is just so unusual.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It wouldn't have had
So
any press if it wasn't in the zeitgeist right now.
yeah,
This
and
topic,
we'll
you know.
think of it from
And I don't
Russia's
want to be
perspective.
the person who says, "Are these women just trying to pull men down off their pedestals. No,
Well, she obviously wasn't.
she wasn't.
You know,
She wasn't doing that, and no one,
absolutely
as
wasn't.
far as what I know, no one has done that anyway. As far as what I can
Yeah.
tell, I mean, you might have a different opinion, but I certainly, that's not a good defense. She didn't want this, as you said. She didn't want this, and man, things have spiraled out of control. Hey,
Yeah.
Bill Cosby's in jail, and he probably will die there.
Has he
So
been sent?
he has been sentenced to at
I didn't
least
know that.
5 or 10 years. I've forgotten which one. So
5 or 10 years. How old is he?
he is in his 80s.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
Runart says good, and I say, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm not gonna defend him in the slightest. He's 10 years. 10 years. Runart says, yeah, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Billy. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want one of my heroes to, go to jail. But it
Well,
happened, and I'm glad it happened because I'm not gonna defend 40 women.
40.
40.
40. My lord. I
Yep.
wasn't following it closely. I mean, I suppose that the point to remember here, it's not that, so much. I understand what you mean, but the point is not, I didn't want him to go 50 years. Kay Runart, you're either following this on Google or you're very interested in this, in this.
If
10 years
you're
on.
on Google, well done you for helping us out there.
Yeah,
Wow,
okay.
50
That's,
years, 10 years, 5 counts, 50 years. Holy shit, he's gonna die in prison. All right.
is that the maximum, or, is that just the maximum penalty though? I mean,
Honestly, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, there's a difference between obviously maximum penalty and what someone actually got. But in any event, even if that's not the maximum, you'd think, yeah, he's definitely die in prison. Or
You just remember when the story broke. Okay, I will also point out that human memory is not that reliable. So I'll take you for your word, but
it sounds believable. But
it
if
does
it's
sound
stretched,
believable, but I'll add a bit of salt to that. But yeah, let's just say 10 to 50 years. How about that?
you know what? It probably doesn't make a difference, does it?
No, no, it doesn't. He's 80. It
You're
doesn't
still in
matter.
you're still in the you're still in the verdict in the realm where you go, take a life sentence, it'll be shorter.
Yeah, yeah, that
So,
is true.
so
So,
yeah,
that's I think I wanted to point that out because that's the worst example of all the cases that have come forth
was he
recently.
worse than Weinstein? I thought I don't know
What did
going on.
Weinstein do? I think I think I'm saying that
I know
that's
he
the
had
worst case because Cosby was actually sentenced. What did
that's
Weinstein
true.
do? I
I don't
honestly can't
recall the
remember. He was the
details, but I
first, one
do
of the
recall
first, right?
it involved a lot of rape.
Ah, a lot of rape. That's not good.
No.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I suppose he's sort of the high water. And of course, well, he was able to get away with it for so long simply because he was so very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. That hence why people started talking about that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And that's
some of the
important.
some of the comments which came out about Russia are interesting. And here's a question: if because I think it's important, well, at least in Australia, law around sexual harassment hasn't changed. What is ew? Sorry, I'm just reading about Kay Runard has just written up Weinstein's stuff. So maybe
Yeah. That sounds like. When I think of
that is less.
When I think of sleazy Hollywood producers, yeah, answering the door naked for blowjob and asking for blowjobs sounds like the sort of thing that would happen, especially if it's in the 70s. If you're going to do a Hollywood movie about Hollywood producers, that's what I would do. I would do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely.
This is my question for
Yeah.
you and for the listeners. Um, let's say that the law on sexual harassment is that it is illegal, whether it's civil or criminal,
Mm-hmm.
to engage in behaviour which is by contemporary standards, um, yeah, well, just speaking broadly, sexually inappropriate,
Gotcha.
sexually inappropriate, and without consent, and in situations where a reasonable person in their situation would have known that this is wrong. My
Yep.
point is, though, the central plank in the law is that it's only illegal if it's against the standards at the time.
Right. Okay. I see where you're going now.
Yeah. Now here's the question, because this came up with actually some of the stuff. I think it was Yale Stone with the Rush trial who said this. She's, if you read her comment in full, and this is, and now I'm going off hearsay on this, what someone else has told me, is she said Rush was kind of he's from a different generation,
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
behaved in this highly sort of sexualized way.
And let's
And
just remind people of what Rush did, because we've been talking about terrible people for the past 5 minutes. Let's just
yeah, and
remind people of what Rush did, of what Geoffrey Rush did. You just explain.
so as we said earlier, what he is accused of some comments, not asking for blowjobs or anything that serious. I think he's accused of some sexual comments. And when he picked up, in particular, when he picked up an actress whose character was dead, held her in her arms, he's accused of groping her breast while he did it, or grabbing her breast.
Accidentally or not, we don't know.
Yeah, you know. So
And
the thing is,
she made an informal comment. That's the most important thing about this. It was an
yeah,
informal comment. She didn't want attention, and it got blown out of control. That's the Geoffrey
yeah,
Rush thing that we've been talking
story.
about.
But here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say that Rush did do that,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
let's
did do what? Did do the
that he did grope her deliberately on stage in front of everyone, and tried to make it look like it was just part of the show.
right?
Let's say
Okay. That's really nasty, sleazy behavior. Yeah.
it is nasty, sleazy stuff. But and the sentence says, the following sentence is going to be very strange, but I guess I'm interested it's the thought experiment I'm trying to get
Yeah.
at here.
This is what we need to do. Thought
Yeah.
experiments. Okay.
His behavior was, let's say, within the industry, within the situation, and it wouldn't have been, in that with the deliberate groping. But let's say that behavior was acceptable
Yeah.
by the standards of his industry for 95% of his career.
Okay.
And as a result, see, like Robin Nevin, for example, who was also nominated for and has been on a lot of high profile shows. She's flat out said, I've worked with Geoffrey for years and years and years and years. There's nothing wrong with him. And Gail Stone's comment was, yeah, that's because Robin Nevin is from the same era.
Right.
Her standard, what's appropriate, is the same. And so what I'm getting at here is where, in a sense, you have two different standards by which a person can be judged.
Yeah, true.
They're from different segments of the society.
We do change over time, and even in my time, I've heard standards change, not just in sexual behavior, but with language. Most definitely, language over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's just, it's very important. It's a big issue at the moment. The question I wanted to raise, I guess, was that where you have two situations. One, what should you do where you have a person who, behavior that is acceptable in a large part of the community, but not in another large part of the community?
Yes.
And there is something said for, as you identified, taking it from the victim's perspective. But I think you need to temper that because otherwise you give people no guidance as to what is or is not acceptable. And that's just not, that's just not what the law is for. Law is all about certainty. Yes, it's often unjust, but something that is really central to it is that you can predict it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why you don't want to make it just, whatever somebody finds offensive, that's illegal. No.
Yeah, that's that is true. You do not want a postmodern law system.
No.
As your brother pointed out one time, you do not want a postmodern policeman just running up to the victim. So, do you feel like you constructed a crime? Well, I took this lady's purse, but doesn't this purse belong to all of us? Good point. You're out of here.
It's true.
We do need some form of line in the sand to say
we do.
What is acceptable, so that people can follow, and that's not easy. That's not easy.
Not easy.
It may seem easy, but
particularly when standards change. And
so, people's opinions change, society changes, and you should not ignore that in any perspective, So what have we accomplished? What have we basically learned? What have we accomplished? I don't think we have. I don't think we've solved anything, Steve.
I don't think we've solved anything. Well, we're just here to ask questions.
We're here to ask questions and not answer them at all.
Well, it's a lot easier that way.
Well, that's right, man. I want to talk about something that's not so serious, but
yes,
it is interesting. Mm-hmm. We both saw this movie, Aquaman.
Oh, Aquaman! From Geoffrey Rush to Aquaman.
Well, look, he was in a sea movie, so
he's been in a lot of sea movies as Geoffrey Rush. So
I don't think we've directly talked about movies on this podcast before.
No, we haven't.
No,
you and I have not really directly talked about movies. So let's do it. You want to talk about Aquaman?
It's not. By the way, this is not. First of all, it's not important. It's not a subject that it necessarily needs to bring up. And also, spoiler alert. I guess I'm not going to keep anything from anyone. I want to talk about the ending, or the third act.
Look, if you can't figure out the ending for Aquaman within about 15 minutes of starting it, then you weren't paying attention.
That's right. But yes, Aquaman. Now, the reason. First of all, let's acknowledge the fact that there's an Aquaman movie.
The thing I find hilarious about Aquaman is that it was a plot point in that film. What was that TV series? Entourage, where this guy's playing a film star and he's asked to do a stupid film, and it's Aquaman. Like they mentioned Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman has been the butt of jokes for years. He really has been. So it's amazing that this has happened. I like Charles's Dragons segue there as well. Jason Momoa. Yeah, that was my first that was my first review on the movie, by the way, which is basically as soon as the movie starts out great, because here's Jason Momoa with no shirt on, okay, and then as the movie progresses, he puts on more and more clothing, and so it gets worse and worse.
He does a reverse striptease.
He does, yes. He's a man who has no right putting his shirt back on.
There you go.
So
one of the sorry, go on.
No, I lost my train of thought. Go on.
Oh, you're lost in.
I'm lost in his. I'm lost in Aquaman's eyes.
lost in Aquaman. The blood's draining away from your head. That's the problem. The uh, where, where was I? Oh yeah, the guy who plays Aquaman's father. His name escapes me, but he played Jango Fett in the Clone Wars.
Oh, it's him. Right, he's a Kiwi, is he? All right.
Yes, it's more than that because the thing is, it's like I know that's what he's most known for, but to me, and I'm surprised you don't remember this, Alec, there was a little known outside of Australia, New Zealand, Kiwi film called What Becomes of the Broken Hearted.
I did not
And
know that. Sorry.
Once Were Warriors, do you remember that?
I'm aware of that. I'm not a big film person, so I'm not. I'm sorry. I
Yes.
haven't seen these
Once Were
films.
Warriors stars that guy. His name escapes me, and he plays. His character is called Jake the Muss, which is short Jake the Muscles, and he's
Mhm.
he's a thug.
Okay.
He's just an alcoholic thug. And the thing is, he pulls that character off to a T, absolutely to a T. He looks huge, dangerous, and violent. And it's really just strange seeing him in any other situation.
Where he's
So,
this lighthouse keeper that just falls in love with a mermaid.
I'm
Yes, I
seeing
know
him.
it wasn't a. I know she wasn't a mermaid.
Yes, I know, but still, I'm like sitting with Jason Momoa, and I'm like, haven't you guys seen his dad take someone out with a spanner in that film? Like, anyway, so
Here's
yes,
now. Okay, about the film itself. First of
Mm,
all, despite its flaws, I liked it. I don't know why I liked it, but I liked it. It was fun and pretty.
it was. I
Turns
agree.
out that's all that you need to do to make me ignore everything else in it. It was, it's got the magic touch of Avatar. It's fun and pretty, and I forget all the bullshit that's in it.
Yeah,
I wrote down in Facebook in December this Aquaman plot.
yeah.
I have been asked to become more than a man and more than a ruler. I shall prove to you that I am worthy of being a better king than you by killing thousands of your people with a giant leviathan and with all the ocean's dolphins. Thank Poseidon, I stopped you before you caused more bloodshed. May the people of Atlantis love me as their new leader.
Yeah, good point. Be kind of hard actually after the guys just killed a whole lot of your friends and family. Going, hang on,
Wait,
like,
wait a minute.
I, no,
No,
I don't.
no, this isn't right. First of all,
I'm not.
the people of Atlantis hate you already. We've established that. Okay,
Yes.
I thought the movie was going to be this man steps up and wins the hearts and minds of all the people by becoming a better ruler. But no, he actually just defeats their armies. I'm thinking, right, every explosion that's going on here, that's a sentient soldier of Atlantis, one of your people. Your people you are
It's
killing, they're dead, they're dead, dead. All of those are dead. They're dead. What do you? I don't know what you're trying to do, Aquaman. I don't see how much of a hero you're. I don't get it. What are you doing? What's the point of all of
it's
this? It's pretty though.
it's pretty like it didn't need a point. I agree. I had exactly the same reaction. And you know what? Look, I actually this is what I think the secret of Aquaman, or the secret of its success, I'll put it down to, is that it took itself just seriously enough.
Yeah,
Like, I think if it had taken itself any more seriously, you would have wanted to chuck rocks at it. If it had
yeah.
been any less serious, you like it wouldn't have been so endearing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it kind of reminded me of. Did you ever see that 1980s Flash Gordon movie?
I did. My God, that was brilliant.
I love that
Who
film. I
doesn't
love
love
it.
Flash Gordon?
Oh yes, the famous Queen song, with the
Flash!
film.
Ah!
Ah, and the line, well, of course, Flash, Flash, I love you, but we only have 15 hours to save the Earth. It's uh,
Yeah,
it
Flash Gordon is a
nails.
movie that needed to happen.
It is, but I think Aquaman. I prefer Flash Gordon. I think it'd be hard for me to say that anything beats it of that same type of film. But it's the same thing where it takes itself seriously enough to be endearing, but not too seriously. Which I think like Batman v Superman took itself way too seriously. For example,
Yes, it
like
did. Because in the end,
you just
it's a movie it's a title that an 8-year-old would come up with.
yeah, it is,
Which is
and
fine, but let's treat it as such.
yeah, that's right. Let's not make it, Gravely versus Batman. I'm a very serious man who dresses as a bat.
Your mother is named Martha too? We're best friends now.
Yeah, that sort of. Um,
What was
yeah,
Aquaman's mother's name? Was it Martha as well?
that
Martha
means
of Atlantis?
in fact, maybe they're triplets.
Maybe. Jesus Christ. I will also say. Did we just become best friends?
Best friends with this
Yeah, that's frightening.
Why did you say that name? It's his mother's name. Oh,
Oh God. It's
that changes everything.
I wanted more. I wanted more of fighting submarines and stuff. I thought it was a movie about that.
That
But
was cool.
anyway,
I was
and it had
amused though.
his shirt off as well. So
I was amused when I was watching Aquaman though. Starts off and it's these pirates attacking a submarine, and I'm watching it going, how the hell do pirates attack a submarine?
Yeah, that was a movie. That was a moment where I go, that makes no sense. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't care, but I was like,
No.
it's a bit like flying modern current thing is like an F-18 stealth bomber or something, and this pirate stealth bomber to
See, that's a movie I'd like
you.
to see as well.
And people jump out of it and board your plane.
Yeah.
What? How are you doing this?
Oh God. Jason is so handsome, bet he has a small dick. Oh, Miss K, you naughty woman, you. On a side note, Steve,
Yes.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and there were two YouTubers, and then they met this kid who was trying to get into the YouTubing business, and he said, "Oh yeah, you're a big YouTuber. Okay, first question: how many followers, mate?" Oh, it's something like 2 or 3 million, something like that. And he says, "Oh yeah, cool," and basically saying stamp of approval. No question about what you do, what the videos are about. Just it's just a numbers game to kids who want to start out with into the YouTubing world.
Well, particularly if you're a teenager and you don't have a lot of confidence because
Well,
you're a
that is
teenager.
true. Yes, that is true. That is a good
How are you
point.
supposed to know if your content is good unless you have followers? So I don't need to know what the content is because I don't trust myself to know whether it's good or not.
No, that is very, very true. And if you have nothing to say, I didn't have anything to say as a teenager. I had opinions, but I didn't know how to opinionate myself.
You had opinions but nothing to say. Yeah, that's
wow. I want that on a T-shirt.
that's pretty good. But you'll have a whole lot of people who say, well, you must have a YouTube channel. Okay, here's a we spoke so much about heavy stuff with Geoffrey Rush. Let's talk about a lighter thing with boys and language.
Oh yes. Let's talk about your kid.
Yes, I want to talk about that. There we are. Right. something which I've noticed. I have a small child, and as anyone who interacts with me for like more than 30 seconds will realize, I'm a talker. I talk a lot. Always been a word guy. Um, that thing. My son is not. Like he's very funny, but he is not a talker. Um, but what he is he's very active. Like he's very good with. He's very coordinated for his age. He's extremely good at climbing, very good at kicking footballs, so on and so forth.
Now, can
And it
I
just
ask how old is he?
yes,
4?
he's 3.
3,
No,
right.
he's 3. So like he can't talk a great deal, but he's very good at kicking footballs. And I thought it's stereotypes
Yeah.
that um, boys their language skills develop very quickly.
Yeah.
And I realized that, of course, these things, to an extent, these things are vicious circles because I was very bad at all physical things when I was a kid, but I was very good at words. So as a result, I used words with everything. Like, so I got very good at school and I never did any sport because you do what you get rewarded for doing. My son, and I was watching him play with other children, I think he's actually very popular because he can physically do things that the other kids um, find find impressive.
Oh,
So
okay.
see, he doesn't need to talk, not as much. That's not how he interacts with the other children. Um, and of course, he doesn't need to impress me because I think he's awesome no matter what he does. Um, I just thought it's sort of interesting in that when we talk about people having slower to develop skills. Sometimes I
That's Charlie's Dragon. He's the jock in the
right.
making.
Yes,
You're
he
raising
is.
a nerd is raising a jock. You've got 2 nerds raising a jock.
I know it's very true. The thing is, like, he's going to rebel and he's going to, refuse to go to Sunday morning D&D session. And
Hey, this is a Dungeons and Dragons household, young man, and we will keep it that way.
you put that football down and pick up, Dad. I just want you to know that I haven't been playing Magic the Gathering on Saturdays.
No son
I've
of
been
mine is going to a football match.
yes, indeed. So yeah, but I just thought it is interesting when you talk about people being retarded in skill areas. It's and I use that word literally in the sense of slower. Um, a lot of the time, it's actually I think just what they're being rewarded for doing. And once you have a slight edge in one skill set, you exploit that edge. Really.
Yeah,
So
no, I've got no problem with that. Kids do get a lot of children do get molded with their positive um, reinforcements. So yeah, you are making you are making a person out of rewarding their skills, and that's what happens. That's just and fair enough. And as you say, it sounds like he is popular in the schoolyard because well, or not
he's way too
even if he's
cool.
not popular, he's accepted in the schoolyard. Just
Yeah, look,
playing with
yeah,
kids, even though he's not much of a talker. Uh, uh,
I
there,
suppose.
there was
Sorry, go
this
on.
there was this program about how language removed our ability to do other things when we developed it and left the that particular course in evolution. And there's this a scientist who was studying the behaviors of apes in comparison to humans, and certain memory games that were played with apes were so much better at them than we could ever be. They very quickly could just say, okay, boom, 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 we'll do that, and within a couple of seconds solve this particular puzzle, which would be impossible for a human being to do. And that form of memory developed because of the lack of language there. That's a stupid way to explain that
No,
you don't
no,
entirely need language to develop uh, in your particular skill set. You can very easily interact with people even without language. You can very easily develop without. And I'm not saying that your kid does not have language. Of course, I'm not saying that. Just is, as you say, just not his strong point. So yeah.
I liked actually. There's a point that Charlie's Dragon made earlier. The that actually one of the more important things about whether he can appropriately. I think Charlie's Dragon described it as express emotion, which is obviously, I guess, true. I would say it's process and express emotion at an age appropriate level. I guess the point I was really trying to make when I wrote this down was the thought I had was that just because a person isn't good at something, I think it's important to recall that doesn't mean they don't have the aptitude for it. It can just mean that they have never had the need to indulge it or develop it. And those are, of course, two very different concepts. That was, I guess, all I was doing. That.
Oh, hang on. We have a question. I'd like to ask, at what point ignoring a weakness to focus on a strength is a good thing? Right. So it's. I think what you're implying there is, first of all, we're being asked to take a shot of whiskey or fire up a J, and I say, I don't have either of those right now. Sorry.
I actually have quite a lot of whiskey. Beer and whiskey are my two favorite drinks.
Beer and
So
whiskey is good. Beer and whiskey at the same time, not so good. That
yeah,
will.
possibly not in the same glass.
One definitely no, not in the same glass. Although I have been told that a straight and chaser is pretty good, and after a portion of time doing straight and chasers, no, waking up the next day after doing straight and chasers, no, that's bad. Beer and whiskey they're great, but no, not in the same meal. But anyway, going back to rune art thing, I'd like to ask: at what point ignoring a weakness to focus on a strength is a good thing? I don't think we're saying that we're ignoring weaknesses.
I guess perhaps if you focus on the question itself, which is, well, you can take it as a 2-pointer, and I see Kelly Runard has clarified it further down.
Oh yes, I'm asking about learning. Oh yes, I'm asking about learning in what are you good at, as opposed to being mediocre at something you are not.
Well, I mean, it's always the circumstances, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of sometimes focusing on your strengths makes them stronger, and ultimately, this society is all about specialists.
Yeah, that is true.
That's what our society is.
Mm-hmm.
I have a job.
Yep.
While it would be great if I could also kick a football, the fact is that I can't. And to be honest, if I spent lots of time learning how to do it, it probably wouldn't make my life that much better.
What's the phrase? Jack of all trades, master of none, often better than master of one. But the point is, there are masters. There are
Yeah, and
masters of one, and I would go to Stephen if I needed a lawyer. I would go to a mechanic if my car had a giant inflatable doll shoved in the engine. You know, I would do these things.
is that a thing that's happened to you?
No, I just wanted to find the most bizarre, obscure thing I could think of, and it's not. I don't think it is the
I just thought that
most
might be a
imaginative, but
regular.
it's interesting.
It is interesting. You just spoke about it like that was a regular problem. Like, oh, I needed to get my car serviced. The tire was flat, and it was an inflatable doll shoved in the engine.
Again, these things happen.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
must be a
So
Thursday.
yeah. Uh, Again, what have we solved any problem there? Have we answered any question? I don't think we have. I think, but we have acknowledged what the situation is a little bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
And
that's
knowing
fine.
as hustle, it's well,
But here
at
we
the
are.
end of
We've saved the world today. I think we've
we
with all
have,
the important things that we've been talking about.
we have. We've been saving the world for is it an hour and 30 minutes now?
We've been saving the world for an hour and 30 minutes.
I think that's impressive. That's a good night world saving.
Yeah, I think so as well. Chin Chin, old boy, we saved the world again. Two smart arts saving the
Indeed.
world, one stupid, pointless subject. Actually, no, I was saying stupid, pointless subjects. No, there's things we've been talking about which are not stupid and pointless. All I'm saying is we haven't come to any conclusions. Just more questions, and that's okay.
Eh, that's okay. I've got this saying I picked up from somewhere that to every complex question there is a simple and obvious answer, and it's wrong. So
I like that. Put that on a t-shirt as well. No, put that on your underwear so that if you get lucky, then they'll go, oh, I get you.
with Kelly Runard, I think has asked the question a couple of times. What is this podcast?
Oh, okay.
And
Kelly Runa, when you figure that out, tell us, and we'll write that down.